What up? What up?
Woo, we back, baby. Let's go.
We was off last week.
It's off a little bit.
But we back, goddammit.
Damn it. We're on it. We're never gone for long.
Welcome back. Episode 135 of the Carbon Footprint Podcast.
Wait, 135 134?
I thought it was 5.
You might know, man. Listen,
I don't know.
I don't know shit about fuck. Let's
you know
go.
What? After 100, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. Yep. We on something.
That's right. Welcome back, everybody. He is Juan and I'm Sean, and every week, except for last week, we get together, have a few drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. Hit them with a drink of the day.
Yo, man, we got a old-fashioned variation here that is delicious, man. We broke it down with a shot of the Larceny bourbon, which is it's pretty damn good. If you never had Larceny, it's actually really, really good. And so we did a shot of that and a half a shot of Saint Germain, believe it or not. Instead of simple syrup, you do some Saint Germain. So you throw that into a mixing glass with ice. You throw the shot of Larceny bourbon, throw a half a shot of Saint Germain, some Angostura bitters or orange bitters. We did it with both. It both came out pretty good. I like to throw in a little bar spoon of the cherry syrup that comes in the cherry blend. So you throw the bitters, you throw that little cherry syrup in there, stir it up with ice, pour it in a glass with a big ball or cube of ice, and then garnish it with orange peel and a cherry for the little scent and the flavor.
And we did
maybe rub the orange peel a little bit.
We did use the Bada Bing cherries.
Mm-hmm. You have to. You have to. And if you let them soak in there for a little bit at the end, you get a nice little dessert treat.
Absolutely.
It's so good, man. Yo, this is good. And this is funny, man. Normally, we would have gone through significantly more of the bottle doing just old fashions because they're straight. But the shot and the Saint Germain, it's enough, man. Yeah, these will sneak up on you, because they go down smooth.
These hit people, so so be careful.
Yeah. Drink responsibly, whatever that means. No, definitely do.
All right, man, check it. My Carbon Footprint of the week. I'm conflicted because normally for those of you who listen, I like to do a little feel good, maybe a little breakthrough, technology breakthrough, medical breakthrough, something like that. But this week I'm gonna go asshole.
Wait. I didn't get that memo. Do I have to go nice? I mean, let me reconsider mine.
I'm giving it to Mr. Paxton Lynch.
Okay.
Who has he's a quarterback. And no, this is not a true carbon footprint, but when you listen to it, you'll understand why. He's a former quarterback in the NFL for the Denver Broncos, Seattle Seahawks, Pittsburgh Steelers. Then he got moved to and I'm gonna jack up this pronunciation,
Oh, Saskatchewan.
Thank you.
We'll blame the alcohol.
Nope, it ain't. It wasn't the alcohol.
The Canadian Football League one? Yeah, okay,
yes.
I got you. Saskatchewan.
So moved to the CFL, Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Mm-hmm. Then went to USFL, played with the Michigan Panthers, and then most recently, and actually currently, is playing with the Orlando Guardians of the XFL.
Oh, he's in Orlando. I didn't realize he was in.
Yes.
Oh, we got to go to a game of that, yo.
And this guy has been benched from every single team that he's ever played for.
In every league?
Including the Orlando Guardians.
Oh, so that man is... Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do you get benched in the XFL? Isn't the XFL a benching?
Dude, so he
benched from the bench.
And he got benched back-to-back weeks. So the backup quarterback for the Orlando Guardians is it's like DeAndre Francois, I want to say his name is.
Oh shit, he's
the guy from Florida State.
I was gonna say it is okay.
He's gotten benched for this guy 2 weeks in a row.
Wow, so he's probably gonna lose his starting job.
Probably. I mean,
how bad is Francois? That you're like, we're not sure yet.
He's pretty bad because they started
Lynch
Paxton Lynch the next week, so Francois wasn't really good either.
Oh,
but
man.
Yeah, I think he is like the first guy to have been benched in basically all the professional football leagues in the world.
Every single one. Yeah, that is leaving a footprint, bro. Good or bad. I mean, right? Good, bad, or indifferent, yo. You are.
Not for nothing, though, man. I give him credit. You know, that dude, I forget who he played. I think he played for, in college, it was Memphis.
Did he really?
I'm pretty sure it was
I can't
Memphis.
remember where he went, man.
But to kind of come out and be able to do what he loves for as long as he has, even though he's gotten benched and hasn't had a really successful career, he's still, after all these years, doing what he loves.
Most people would take a paycheck to do what they love, especially to get to play a game.
Yep.
So yeah, good for him, bro, for getting to do that. Bro, I saw AJ McCarron. The story
He's on it.
He's on the XFL, and then
Yep.
he took a massive pay cut. And I thought that story was cool because he said he took it so his boys would see him play. So he could actually still be an NFL backup, and he had offers to be an NFL backup.
Okay.
But he said it was more important to me. Like, my sons have never actually seen me play. Like, I've been on the bench. And so being an NFL backup, depending on where you are, like, you're never going to get to play. And I would rather have the memory of my kids coming to come see me play.
That's cool.
And so he's like, I took $60K a year versus like $3 or $4 million that he could have made in the NFL.
Right.
With a contract to be a backup. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
I imagine that he probably made enough money in the NFL
I'm sure.
to be able to do that, right?
Because AJ McCarron, 2-time national champ, like back to back, he, I actually like AJ McCarron as a backup. I think he's a solid backup. Like, he wasn't a great starter, but when he did come in, he was like that guy that you go, if you're missing your quarterback for 5 games, he'll go 3-2 and keep you sort of in the hunt.
Right.
Like, so I actually liked him as a quarterback, and I thought, so you most definitely could still get a backup job there. So I thought that was cool. He's like, I actually want to play. He's like, I love this game, and I wanted my kids to get the memory. He's like, the money didn't matter to me like anymore. Like you said, like, he's made his money. He's like, I actually want to play now. Like, I'm competitive still. I'm still young, and I want my boys to actually get a chance to see their dad play football. Like,
and I did see a clip of after one of the games, his boys coming down and like hugging him when he was getting interviewed.
Which is cool. I'm like, all right, that's why you did it, man. Like, good for you. Like, that's awesome, man. I saw The Rock shouting him out, going like, yo, we appreciate you taking that hit, because obviously we get somebody of his sort of talent to play quarterback or whatever in the XFL. So I'm like,
have you watched any of the games at all?
No, not yet. No.
So it's really interesting, man. So, like, I mean, if you're a football fan, they have different rules in the NFL. Like, they got you can go for like one, like after touchdown, you can go for like 1, 2, or 3.
Oh, really? Without kicking, you just run a play. Oh, it's like flag football rules.
And then like, instead of an onside kick, you can go for a 4th and 15. Ooh. And if you get it, then the drive continues.
There's been a push for that in the NFL. I think that's a good idea.
I think so too.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
4th and 15, even if you made it 4th and 20.
Yep.
Fuck it. Give me better odds than the
onside kick.
Yeah. And it just, the sense of urgency just gets like, I love that. That would be so cool.
And there's been a few games like decided
by the 4th and 15. That's awesome. Yeah, I can imagine. Like, you go for it. Yeah, that's so cool.
Like you're down. Like, you're down like 10, right?
You get that, and then you can go for 3 or whatever. Or
right.
Down. Yeah, that's so cool. I like that. I think I might actually try to make it out to a game. I think that would be fun. Like
but Orlando sucks right now.
Are they horrible?
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Who's the team to watch?
I'm pretty sure they're winless.
We have to wait for them to play somebody who's Paxton Lynch. I want to go see him play. Wait, no, he plays for Orlando.
He plays for Orlando.
Nah, fuck. Well, I'll go see the one. AJ McCarron.
That's how I know you ignore me, man.
That
was the entire comment footprint.
You sound like all the women in my life.
Juan he's just waiting for me to stop talking because he always has shit to talk about.
I didn't remember him. No, wait, you said he played for Orlando. It's so good, man.
Goddamn old fashioned.
Oh man, yeah, this the alcohol. I'm gonna blame it on that, man. Shit. Dude.
All right, man, what you got?
Listen, this week since you had to take the asshole role, I guess I had to, switch it up a little bit. So my carbon footprint is going out to Spain, bro, and the Spanish government. So the Parliament of Spain, they have made this big decision. They are now the first European country to offer menstrual leave for women. So when women are on their monthly menstrual cycles, they will now be granted paid leave during this period, pun intended, so that they could recover. And listen, frankly, bro, I want to give a shout out to Spain, because don't nobody want to deal with these women when they're going through this time. So for them to take it. So I'm giving them the carbon footprint because they're saving us men from having to deal with this shit at work. And all the other moody.
Oh, Betty's out this week?
Thank God.
Thank God. Had to deal with her ass last month.
So no, her heavy flow days, she gets bitchy.
Dude, I had a family member of mine who has all girls. I remember he would complain because like the wife and the two daughters would.
Oh, they sync up like a Wi-Fi network, bro. It's fucking horrible.
They got the password and everything.
They got the password. And it's like, you want to go? I want to go too.
That's what he said. They would sync up, bro.
Oh.
And then he goes, it would just be a week of like hell.
Bro, my daughter, I love my daughter to death. And my daughter's like the one that I could like make fun of and we'll crack jokes
and
and whatever.
Okay with
she's okay with it. Bro, I know her shit's coming because the smallest thing will just set her off. Like she gets super emotional and starts, and I'm like, and when it first happened, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like you used to be the cool one. What happened? Why are you acting like your brother?
Oh, that's so fucked up.
It's okay. By the time my kids listen to this, they would have like, had years of therapy.
Down episode 135, bro. Stay away from it.
They would have had their self-esteem built up, hopefully, by the therapist.
So they give them like paid leave for that, I'm assuming?
Paid leave every month.
Man,
yeah. So I'm like, oh, that's good for them, man. That's cool. That's I don't know what it's like to have that, bro. So I can't, tell you whether that's an overreaction or not. Like it looks fucking horrible. It sounds fucking horrible. Like so, I can imagine that if you do get that off every month, I'll see why not. Because I think if it happened to a guy, it would have been a day off. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. So shout out to Spain, man, doing I guess the progressive moving thing, and I guess it's optional too, right? Like if you're a woman and you're like, I'm fine, I can do it, then you.
And there are women like that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, but not in Europe. So Europe takes every day off they can fucking get. These motherfuckers all, you work with European people, bro. Yeah. It's more surprising when they're working, especially in Spain. I'm like, holy shit, bro.
I always felt that way about Canadians. I always thought like, man, do you guys get like our holidays and your holidays?
They do, bro. The whole world does. They get American holidays and then whatever the fuck they celebrate, they get that shit too. It's so crazy. No one gets more days off than everybody else. Especially Spain, Europe. Oh my god, bro. They get days off for everything. Really? And then they get, oh my god.
And
during the summer, like good luck getting anybody
too, right?
Oh yeah, and it's like a year. It's crazy, bro. Like we get 12 weeks here. We're like, if you get a C-section,
we're like, no, I'm talking about paternity, not maternity.
Yeah, no. I think here paternity is up to the company. It's not required federally.
Like no one gives that shit.
No, like I think
that I know of anyway.
The company that I work for gives you paternity leave.
Really?
But I think it's a month. I think it's 4 weeks.
Okay.
That's good. And I used to work for another larger company that gave you paternity leave, but I think it was the same thing. I think it was 4 weeks. But it's not very common. Like it's I've had more not than did offer it. And in every other country, I think it is a thing.
Okay.
Like it is. Honestly, I don't want it. I don't want to be home during that shit. That shit is not a vacation. Like you got that on lock. I'm good.
Listen, isn't your mother coming over?
You ain't got friends.
Don't you guys have women you want to talk to?
I was there when we made this. I'm starting to think you can't do nothing by yourself.
Bro, let me tell you who else got paid this weekend.
Not Paxton Lynch.
Jake Paul.
Ooh, yeah, he sure did, man. Good for Jake.
Dude,
bro.
Jake Paul this weekend, for those of you who did not see it, it was pay-per-view, which I think, I don't know, man. I know he makes a ton of money off of this shit. So many folks watch it. Jake Paul, those of you know, YouTube sensation, fought Tommy Fury, who is the younger brother of Tyson Fury. He's an actual boxer. Jake Paul previously had fought MMA guys and other like celebrity type guys, and basically knocked them all out.
Yeah.
He
knocked out Anderson Silva, who was greatest of all time
MMA like turned boxer too, right?
Yeah. He had like 6 or 7 professional boxing bouts before the Jake Paul one, so he's actually boxed. Right. So I mean, older but still.
Did he knock him out, or did he, or was it by decision?
I know he dropped him by decision, but he didn't end up dropping him.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So in this fight, he ends up dropping Tommy Fury.
Yeah.
On a jab. Of all things.
At the end, yeah,
at the end,
and it was a solid like shot. It was it was a clean drop.
Absolutely,
yeah.
However, it was the first fight where I go like, okay, like that's a boxer, that's not.
See, I only saw the highlights. I didn't see the fight, and the bits of the highlights that I did see, I went, oh yeah, he looks like he's fighting a boxer.
Right.
Yeah.
Looks almost like a tough guy.
Yeah.
Like a tough man competition guy fighting a boxer.
Which I don't know. I actually thought Jake would pull this off, but I wasn't surprised because you go, man, you get a guy who's boxed his whole life, and you and I are both like huge boxing fans. It is so different. There's a science to this shit
absolutely.
That is like that. No matter how tough you are, like there's people who go like, yeah, you could win in a street fight. You would never beat the same guy in a ring behind those same rules and those same. Right. They're just technicians to like. It's just so hard, and somebody who's been doing it their whole life. Like Tommy Fury, who's been doing it. I think he says he was 6, which I was glad to see him give Jake Paul credit. He goes, listen, man, I'm like, they talked a lot of shit going into this for years.
Absolutely.
This has been a build-up. And Tommy Fury was like, listen, man.
Like 2 years, right?
Oh, my God, yeah. And it's been backed out, and it's been this, and people thought Tommy Fury was scared and all that. And I think there was an element of that. Like, I know Tommy Fury, there was a lot of shit that was out of his control and whatever, why it kept getting canceled. I think there has to be an element in Tommy Fury's like, there's nothing for me to gain here other than the money. And I could lose potentially everything. Like, if I don't beat this guy. Because there's got to be that doubt in there somewhere. Like, I know you're competitive and you feel like you've been doing it a long time, but he did give Jake, he goes like, listen, man, I've been doing this shit since I was 6. That guy's been doing this for 3 years. He's fucking good for a guy who's been doing this for 3 years. So I was glad. And you know what told me that Tommy Fury was worried about this? The way Tommy Fury celebrated the win.
Dude,
he celebrated like he won a title. He cried. He's like jumping his whole camp. I go, that tells me all I need to know is that this wasn't just, I'm going to fuck this dude up and whatever. And you celebrate like that, bro, you're happy that you won, like that you pulled this off. Maybe because you shut him up from the shit talking, maybe all this stuff. But also, there's got to be an element in there that you felt like you could potentially lose this fight.
Absolutely, bro. And they were saying that if Jake Paul had won, he was going to be ranked. I think it's a WBC.
I think it is WBC. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was going to be actually ranked as a professional fighter.
Do you think this actually helps him?
I do, and so here's what I think, man. And you get the like the boxing purists that go like, oh, like this guy's he's a kind of a sideshow and whatever. And I kind of agree with that. However, I think that the guy's like a compelling character.
Absolutely.
And he's a tough kid, man.
And I think he respects the sport.
He respects the sport.
And I think he respects the sport.
And he's been really putting in the time and the work to try to be the best that he can be. And the other thing is, man, he's got a rematch clause. So they got to do this shit again,
So they got to do this shit again.
And so I think from a boxing standpoint,
one punch changes. You know, like nothing tells me that you're gonna outbox Tommy Fury.
Correct.
But now I'm going. But I saw you drop him on a jab. So and Tommy Fury's got a chin because I did see that he got caught with some haymakers a couple times and he ate them.
He missed a lot.
Yeah,
and it's almost like as a boxer you go like, oh yeah, like he can see that shit coming.
You're Tommy. Yeah, exactly. You've been doing that shit for that long, man.
Yeah.
You said there's not many punches you haven't seen.
But I do, you know, I looked at the event because like Badu Jack fought and won a title, which was like the co-main event.
Which is crazy. Yeah, that was the undercard.
Right? But I started thinking about like all of these Jake Paul events has done good things for boxing.
Absolutely.
Right? Like so he had this co-main event in this time. He's had what the hell is her name? Amanda Serrano,
the Puerto Rican chick,
right? He's showcased her. The other kid,
and I love that because he's showing respect because he's training in PR,
yes,
and he's training in that camp and all that. Like you said, like he's showing respect to the sport and then the people that he's working with, like man or women, of like, no, these guys are warriors. Like this is a great sport, and he's supporting it.
Yeah, and he showcased that kid Montana Love, who ended up getting a deal. So afterwards, and so it's like. For those of you who think it's sort of a sideshow, like Jake is taking all this shit seriously. Obviously, it's a money making opportunity for him.
Absolutely.
But he's putting his own.
It's the best thing that's happened to boxing in a long time.
Exactly, bro. And I really feel like other than the really big fights, like we have one coming up with Javante Davis and
Ryan Garcia. Yeah, we'll get into that in a second too, man. Because
So that'll be there's still like these sort of like really big fights that are happening, but Jake Paul's putting together, like, again, he's like a compelling figure. He's putting together these cards that are showcasing real boxers. And then, for the most part, his fights are competitive, and he's ending up winning these fights.
Yeah, dude. And I think you said he's doing such a boxing is so shitty at showcasing their best talent against one another, and so shitty at promoting the best. That's why Floyd is so big, right? Like, Floyd made you tune in whether you loved him or hate him. You were tuning in, right? Like, he played that villain card really well. Boxing doesn't have that anymore, right? Like Canelo is a big draw, but Canelo's not outselling Jake Paul right now, because Jake Paul is just a more interesting character, because you either want to see him get knocked the fuck out, or, dude, how many fights are your kids wanting to watch?
None.
Like, you have teenage boys, and I know you on more than one occasion have told me you've watched Jake or Logan Paul because your boys have been like, hey,
dude, they were the ones that told me or reminded me. I remember that I remember it was coming up. I didn't remember when. They're the ones that came to me on a Sunday of all times and goes like, oh, like Jake Paul's fighting today, right? And so what's funny was because it was in. That's the other thing we should probably talk about too, man. It was in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So he so because it was over there and they're like whatever 9 hours ahead of us. It was on at like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
On a Sunday. Which was great for us. So, like, it was the first time that I watched a full boxing event with my sons.
And it's a great lazy day, because Sundays are normally the lazy day where you don't mind sitting around and just watching TV. And like you said, if I'm going to dedicate 3 or 4 hours to undercards that don't matter, like what? And dude, for like your sons, right? They would have never watched Badu Jack or Love or any of those guys. You go, that could be the turning point where they go, I like that guy. I saw him. Maybe I'll buy a pay-per-view. Like, if you get a star that comes out of that in the future. Like, I tuned in for Jake, but now I'm following these guys. And whether these guys get social media following out of it, and which leads to more endorsements and all that stuff, like, those guys end up benefiting because of they're on this, and because these kids tuned in to watch Jake, these kids are getting exposure, and so it leads to like these guys being able to make a better living. And so, like, irrespective of what you think he's doing to boxing, at the end of the day, it's more positive than negative, because boxing hurts itself right now. Like, boxing never gives you the fight you want to see. Boxing has way too many hands in the pot who are incentivized by their guys not taking that O, and so, like, you never really truly get like a great main event, and then you never truly get like a captive young audience. And like, I think that's what Jake Paul's helped to bring, man. Like, these young kids who are the future of your sport, but then also they'll see these other guys accidentally because they don't care, but they're like, oh, I'll sit and watch the whole card, and maybe they pick one guy from there and they'll go, oh, I'll hit follow on Instagram, or I'll hit follow wherever, and these guys will then eventually be able to make a better living. Man, I think it can't be overstated, I think, how good he has been for boxing the last like 2-3 years, man. Like,
like I said, I've heard the boxing purists kind of down him, but yeah, man, I think over time you're gonna start to see like the effect of what these events have had on boxing.
Canelo,
positive effect.
I don't even know who the welterweight champ is right now, or let's say middleweight. Dude, Canelo, and who did he just lose to? I forget who he lost to.
I don't even know that guy's name.
I don't know that guy's name, but let's say Canelo's fighting him on Saturday, and Jake Paul's fighting Nate Diaz. Which fight sells more?
Oh, the Jake Paul.
Yeah,
Nate Diaz.
It's not even close. It's not even close. And so, like, the boxing period, like you said, they'll be like, oh, it's not this and that. I'm like, yeah, but the draw, and at the end of the day, you want the eyeballs, and your sport grows with that. And Jake Paul is giving you what you want to see, which is entertainment.
I would actually prefer to see him against Nate Diaz than to see a rematch with Tommy Fury.
Absolutely, I would too, and I think that's why this loss helps him, because I think he can go back to fighting MMA guys, and he can go back to fighting celebrities that we sort of want to see. Because I think what happens is if he beats Tommy Fury, then someone like a Nate Diaz or even another boxer goes, fuck, I gotta take this kid serious.
This guy,
and then
right.
if you're a celebrity, you're like, no fucking way. This guy's knocking out professional fighters. Like if
Right.
you're this kid, like I don't even want to see him fight KSI. I've seen KSI like hitting up. I'm like, I don't want to see that shit. But if you're KSI and this guy beats Tommy Fury, you go, shit, man, that's a guy who's been boxing his whole life. Or you know, like Nate
And he
Diaz.
still almost lost,
And he
bro.
still
Not
almost
for
lost.
nothing, bro.
Yeah, no.
That was an 8-round card, and so he knocked him down in the last round, in the 8th round. If he would knock him down one other time, even though he was losing most
It's
of
a
the
split,
rounds,
though. A judge gave him the fight, right?
Yes.
And you go, if that's not a jab and it's an overhand right and it knocks Tommy Fury out, you go, Tommy Fury could have dominated 7 rounds.
That's right.
But Jake just needed one punch, and that's enough to keep us watching because we'll go, the kid just needs one punch, right? Like, and so somehow I'm like, fuck, man, in a loss, he comes out good. And I love how humble he was. I love that he was like, he didn't make any excuses. He threw a couple of things out there about the injuries or whatever that he had, but he was like, yo, he was the better guy today. He's like a great boxer or whatever. And I like that Tommy Fury was like, talked all this shit leading up to it, but then after it was like, fuck, man, like, he was better than I thought. Like, he was a lot better than I thought. And, you know, and I love the fact that these guys could show. And I think there's a thing that only boxers would understand is like, you talk all this shit, but it takes a lot of balls to get in there and do that. And then afterwards is like, no matter how much I hate you, I got to respect the fact that you got in there. And I think if you're a guy like Tommy Fury, you got to respect Jake Paul, who's like a punch away from being, you know, brain dead or whatever the fuck. And for him to get in there and do it, like you got to have, I think, respect for this kid, what he's done for the sport, and just having the balls to get in there and do that shit, man.
Yeah, man.
Like, it's
I think before the fight happened, he told Tommy, he's like, I'll give you double if you win. I'll give you double the person if you win, but you get nothing if you lose.
And I wonder if he actually did it. I wonder if he did double it. I don't know
if that actually happened.
I mean,
he
made so much money off this that I wouldn't be surprised if he did give him that. But dude, if you're Tommy Fury, this is probably the biggest payday of your career.
Dude, he was crying.
Yeah.
So
dude,
I mean,
it just goes to show
it
you,
was.
like, I mean, if you're Tommy Fury, I know he's like a reality celebrity now. He doesn't really box as much anymore, so he does all these reality shows and shit in the UK.
Really?
Yeah, he rarely boxes now. He does this because
he's like, what, like 9-0 now?
Yeah, he's undefeated.
Yeah.
But if you're Tommy Fury, you can keep riding this out, right? Like, don't box for another year or two. Keep cashing endorsement checks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then maybe go sign up for another maybe celebrity fight or some shit like that. Like, if you're him, at this point, you probably did well enough from this. Why would you risk it? Just keep doing TV shows and shit like that and doing that. And
yeah, if they're lucrative.
He's got like a newborn. He's got thing. Yeah. You're like, bro, if you can make a couple $1 million a year doing this shit, fucking A, bro. Ride that Fury name out, man. If you're him. And that's the other thing I think that Jake Paul's given somebody like, I forgot it was who's the guy he just Woodley. Woodley got his biggest paydays ever. A guy who's a Hall of Fame UFC fighter against Jake Paul. And I'm like, you know what? If that's all Jake does, where he gives these guys who deserve it these like life-changing paydays where it sends them into retirement, you know, and they can live from 38 to 68, 78, a pretty comfortable life, then fucking it's worth it, bro.
Yeah, bro.
It's worth it, man. So good for them. Good for him. I can't wait. I think he does the Nate fight. I would love to see that. Like you said, I would love to see that more than the rematch, but now I'm actually more interested in a rematch because I'm going, oh shit, he's capable of dropping him. The one punch can change it.
Yep.
And Jake does seem to be getting better by the fight.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, I'm almost more interested in watching that, but I'd be more interested in watching him fight Nate. Like I that would be awesome. And if I'm Nate Diaz, you're not gonna get that payday in the UFC. You're going back to UFC. So go get that shit fighting Jake Paul.
Yep.
Like yeah, it would be awesome, man. So good for him.
Dude,
bro.
Speaking of retirement paydays, this was gonna be my carbon footprint.
Okay.
Some Texas students opened up a GoFundMe page for this 80-year-old janitor.
Wow.
Okay. So it's in Catlettsburg High School in Texas. This guy who is known as Mr. James, dude had to come out of retirement because rental rates went up significantly. I think he went up $400 a month, which for somebody on a fixed income, that could affect them.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So they essentially like the students got together and made this like TikTok video that showed this guy working, showed this really like older gentleman working, you know, cleaning up the hallways and stuff. So the person that posted it which I was like, damn, we need to hire this guy for the podcast. This guy had like 2,000 followers.
Shit.
Yeah.
Hit us up.
And so most of it, most of it was from his following. But then from his following, it just on TikTok, man, it's really good about getting views from or by people who are not actually following you. So they put a GoFundMe out there for like $10,000. They got that shit in the first 2 hours. It kept going. They end up raising $270,000 for this guy. And then I guess it was something with the GoFundMe where it was like once it crosses that 270 mark, it's like you need to just cut it. So they cut it. They got this guy's money and sent him into retirement. Sent him back into retirement.
That's so dope, man.
And I was like,
so cool.
Shout out, as much shit as we talk about the younger generation, man, like
there's power in
man.
their like sort of aloofness and always online and stuff like that. They also know how to leverage the positive of the internet and of social media and all that stuff, man. That's so fucking cool, man. Like it's also, dude, a bigger conversation I know we haven't had on here, but just housing in general. Like if you look at average rental rates right now anywhere, man, I don't know it's crazy, bro. I don't know how people are affording it. And then the problem is that even if you buy right now because of the interest rates, it's really crazy. Yep. So like, bro, we always have that conversation about the whole minimum wage and like the max. And listen, man, I'm not smart enough to know what the answer is, but I do know, man, like in doing the math, if you were a person who made $20 an hour, and let's say your spouse made $20 an hour, I don't even know that that's enough to afford like a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment in this city, let alone like major cities across America, let alone like New York City, San Francisco, Los Angeles, like these major hubs. Like it's nuts, man. So the fact that this guy, he said they raised it $400. You think about that, man. It's even if I promise you his rent wasn't $4,000 already a month, but if it was $4,000, it'd be a 10% increase. So you think if this guy's rent was $1,500, you're talking about a 25, 30, 40% increase into his rent, and that's very common. It's insane. And so shout out to these kids, man, for doing that and helping someone. And there's so many people who don't have like this group of people who care for them like that, man. It's just so nuts, man. Like the market. But I think to your point, these kids for recognizing the situation and recognizing the power that the internet and social media has and using this for good, man. Like good for them, man.
Yeah,
like,
man.
And keeping someone retired who probably deserved to be there, who's worked his ass off, like doing
Dude, could
that.
you imagine at 80 going, I gotta go back to work?
I don't even want to work past 50, bro. I always told myself I wasn't gonna work past 40. Now I'm like, all right, 45, 50. I can't even, the idea, bro, to me that you work to 67, whatever, 65.
Yep.
To then go do the shit you've always wanted to do is fucking ludicrous to me because I won't even enjoy it because I'm falling apart.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, nah, I want to go travel and I want to go enjoy days off and I want to whatever, fucking golfing or scuba diving or swim, whatever it is that I decide to do when my joints don't hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, so
let me tell you something, man. And I talked about this on this podcast over the last year or so. In the last year, 48 has been mean to me. Okay? I have pulled a hamstring racing my 15-year-old son on the beach. And I pulled a groin jump or launching myself around in a paintball arena.
I was there for that.
Yeah. That was your fault. But and so I'm in the gym probably 4 times a week on average. And so I kind of pride myself on trying to stay kind of in shape and strong and doing what I can to sort of stay young, I guess. But bro, age comes, right? And so I know what I'm experiencing now. I look at people my age that are like in my family and I can see that in some cases, like, this like upper 40s or lower 50s is not kind to people. I can't imagine at 80 going, I'm gonna go back to work and sweep hallways or clean bathrooms or anything like that, bro. I can't imagine, bro.
No, bro. I can't. And I think I could think of it if I was doing it as a way to pass the time or because I wanted to. I can't imagine having to do that because I have to.
Correct.
Like, it just sucks. And then, like, it's funny, man. We talked about this a lot because you get hurt. You've gotten hurt over the last few months, and I'm like, fuck, man. And you keep yourself in significantly better shape. So I've been in this mindset now where I'm like, man, I better get my shit together because there's like a 12-year gap between us. And I'm like, I know that's going to be me in like 3 or 4 years instead of 12 because fuck, I don't do as much as I should right now as far as working out or, you know, all that
Dude,
goes.
it's a good idea, man, to just look at where you are now and go, what do I want to be in 10 years?
Yeah.
And then kind of work towards that, like, right? If so, I'm 48, so then you're 36.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go at 46, like, what do I want to be like? And then work your ass off to be like you want to be. In 10
it's so
years.
true, bro. Because again, like I always tell you this, like you're the most disciplined person I've ever met in my life, and so I know like your workout regimen and even like eating and all that stuff, and I'm like, fuck, I'm nowhere near that discipline. And when you tell me like you pulled something,
I be thinking I ain't shit.
I'm like, I think it's all relative. I mean, you're better. You're probably not like where you want to be, you think, but I'm going, shit, you're significantly better than I am at 36. And I'm running out of time to like fix those habits before they start to become like injuries and become like lifelong ailments and all that stuff. Because I think you take youth for granted, right? Like I think I absolutely do, right? And there's moments now where I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck happened? And I'm like, oh, I'm 36. You know what I mean? But it shouldn't be that, right? Like that's a shitty excuse because theoretically I'm still young, but I just don't take care of my body the way I should, right? And so, this last year, whenever you said like I'm like, I gotta get my shit together.
Not for nothing, bro. When was that paintball shit? That
September? No, October. First week of October.
Dude, there are movements that I still do today that I go, like, it's still not 100%.
We need to go back so you can just pop it back in. You need to do the same movement. And
I don't know what it is, man. I got to look up some shit on TikTok or something, man. How to fix it growing.
Yo, it's so true. It's got to be on TikTok. They got fucking everything on there, bro. TikTok has everything on there, man.
You seen the government's about to fucking, or they're Joe Biden, right? He put something into place where it's like any government phone is not allowed to have it, which I go like, yeah, if it's a government phone, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I feel like every corporation could have that rule.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So I think that was such a big deal.
Yeah.
But then I saw that TikTok is doing something where they're going to they're going to limit the amount of time that you spend on there. But I was like, whatever, because it was like, if you're under 18, they're going to limit you to an hour. And then when an hour passes that you've been scrolling, it'll pop up with a password. And so you just enter the password to get additional time.
Yeah, and I think kids will be like 0000. Cool, and then you just get an extra
and not time. Just that. So then if you're 13 or younger, it's going to require a parental password.
Well, I think 13 and under, you shouldn't even have an account, right?
Well, I guess you can.
Oh, wow.
So my thing was, okay, well, like I know my kids, and they'll just go, oh, I'm going to get TikTok. And then when they sign up for it, they go, oh, I'm 20.
Yeah, you're just gonna lie about your age.
Lie about your age.
Yeah, unless you're gonna make people upload documentation now, like social security cards or birth certificates. It won't fucking matter, man. And that won't deter them from doing.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, the passcode thing. What I will say is, it doesn't deter you as a teen. It will deter you as an adult, because I don't know if your phone does this. My phone does this whole shit where it tells you your screen time. And it'll be like, this week you did X amount of screen time versus last week.
I think there's a place you can go into to look at that.
Mine gives me the notification. I think you should have to put mine like every Sunday, for example. It'll like at some point in time on a Sunday, I'll get you did X amount of hours this week of screen time. That is blank % compared to last week. That shit has made me feel bad about myself all the time. And I'm like, fuck that. And it will sort of like deter my behavior. Now, I think the thing about the phones can sometimes be, yes, they're bad, but it can be a little bit overstated, because I think the other side of the phone, when you look at screen times and all that, is that all the things that you used to do back in the day on paper or whatever else are on your phone now, right? Like whether it's banking, whether it's reading the newspaper, or what, like you're not writing letters to family members across the country or your friend in the army or whatever the fuck. Like all that stuff's being replaced with your phone. So like, I'm like, you can't look at. It's not like an apples to apples comparison. Like you have to sort of take into account of, okay, these things are sort of necessary evils of the phone. What is the true, like, I guess, a measurement of it's too much or too little, right? Because some people also work on their phones, and some people also like, and so.
But the phone will also tell you like, oh, you spent whatever X amount of time on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that.
And those are the ones where I'm like, oh, fuck that. I got to fix that behavior or address this or do that. Yeah, absolutely. Because I was like, but that's as an adult. I'm like, does it do the same as I'm a teen? And if I'm a teen, man, I should be on fucking TikTok or the way I look at it, right? Like,
for them, and like, I know, like, I have to have two boys in high school. Like, that's what everybody does.
Yeah. So you're talking shit to each other, and like, even if it's you're chatting through the Instagram's like messenger app, then with your friends, like, yeah, that's replacing talking on the phone. Like, we all back in the day had the cord and we dragged it all the way to however far you can get into your room with the cord, and you spent hours on there until someone needed it. And like I'm like, it's replacing all these things. Like when I hear people like, oh, back in my day I used to go outside, I'm like, yeah, but you also used to drag the corded phone into your room and talk for 3 or 4 hours. So like now we're just texting that, and we're just so like I'm like, I don't know what the real measurement of time should be. Because I'm like, how do you sort of account for the things that it's replaced? There is definitely an unhealthy amount of time. There's definitely an angst that goes with it. Like I know, like, and I think we've talked about this on here before. I know there's an anxiety that comes with, like, for me, like not having my phone on me. And so like, and I know that's unhealthy, right? But then I don't know how to sort of like fix that or replace that, because I can sort of justify it, right? In my mind, I go like, what if like my kids need me, right? What if my job needs me? What if like this happens? What if I miss this? Or I do it for research for the podcast. I do it for I'm answering work emails. I do it for like, so then it's like, so where do I limit myself? Like, and I know there's an answer out there, and it's different for everyone, but like there is sort of this angst that comes with like, but my life revolves around this device right now, whether I like it or not. And unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I can live off of sort of the grid or limiting that. But and I don't know that the answer is the same for everyone, I guess.
And you know what's funny, man, is that like you'll get like people in my generation, and maybe like the baby boomers that will make statements like, oh, like the phone is kind of ruining, but then those same people, when they can't reach you, it'll be like, yo, you don't have your phone? I text you, or I tried calling you, and it's like you also have that where it's like the same people who are saying that this thing is sort of ruining your life are also depending on it in order to reach you at any given time.
Yeah, dude, I think and we might have talked about this before, whether on air or off, but like it's one of the reasons I love long airplane rides. Like I know people hate being on airplanes, but for me, it's the excuse of like, I don't feel like I have to be glued to my phone because I won't miss anything. It's like that FOMO. And for me, the FOMO comes more of like, am I missing something from someone who's going to genuinely need me, right? Like someone in my family who's going to actually need me. And it's like I don't give a shit about what's happening on Instagram. Like that's not the FOMO that I'm worried about. I'm worried about that emergency call. I'm worried about the, like my kids, like, like whatever it is, or like, like work or whatever. But if I'm on an airplane, it's almost like I allow myself to have that excuse why I can't be reached. Even if they offer Wi-Fi, I just don't buy it. And I'm like, fuck it, I don't want it.
Yep.
And I allow myself to go, no, I can be present. I can be in this moment. I don't have to pay attention to this. And sort of the anxiety goes away of not being connected. Whereas if I'm not on an airplane and the phone's like in the house, like, but I set it down somewhere, I'm constantly worried about, well, what if someone's trying to reach me and I'm not thing? And and I don't know how you combat that, man. Like, it's not healthy. I know for sure.
I will say that there are times when I'll think back to sort of like the pre-phone days, which is not, I mean, in my lifetime, it's not that long ago, man. You say like, I'd say pre-2000.
Dude, but 15 years ago, we didn't have iPhones, right? Like, you think about, when did the iPhone come out?
I don't remember. We can look it up.
Yeah. Blackberries were in the 2005, 6, 7s. I know Blackberries were a thing, right? 2004, I know that. But really, we didn't become like super dependent on our phones BlackBerry started it, but iPhones were the ones who really sort of got us hooked, right? And then with iPhones came the other Androids that were, the HTCs and all that, the My Touches and all that stuff that came out back then, the Sidekicks.
2007.
Yeah. So I think up until then,
but we still had phones.
Yeah.
So so I want to say I got my first phone in somewhere between 98 and 2000.
Okay.
And then so you had a device where you could be reached. And I do, man. I think back to sort of like that that time, and I'm like, fuck, man. When you left the house, you just were unreachable.
Yep.
Unless you were actually going to either, if you were a kid going to someone's house, or if you were going to work, somebody could call your work phone, but you weren't always in the office. You know what I mean? And you could actually be gone, bro.
Gas stations and shit, and we would just fucking roam the earth like pirates.
Dude.
Shit was wild,
dude,
bro.
I used to get so my mom made me like a member of AAA. And so whenever I would go somewhere, I would hit up AAA on the phone and go, yo, I'm going, like I'm in Florida, I'm going to whatever, like North Carolina, whatever. And AAA would mail me a map with the most the
convenient route.
The most convenient, right. Like the fastest route to to my destination. And yeah, like that, like I said, that's funny, man. Like a pirate,
fucking just trying to find the
we talk about fucking don't look at your phone. Meanwhile, fucking tracing map,
bro. We be in a whole car with a map across the dashboard. Like, where am I? Fucking
while you're driving,
some wild shit, bro. I remember taking when I was a kid, man. My stepdad had family in Pennsylvania. And we would visit them all the time. And they lived in this part of Pennsylvania, York. And York was sort of off the grid. And I say off the grid, but meaning like it wasn't like fucking Philly or like whatever. Like they're not signs on the highway to York, right? So like no matter how many times we went there, we'd always get fucking lost because, again, pre-phones, pre-thing. And it was like you had to get on, and then the exits are weird, and then you had to get off on these little side roads to get on these other random highways and all that shit. Anyway, but I remember all the time we'd get lost, and you'd have to pull over and ask for directions, and he was fucking livid, and we would make them and be like, he'd rather make circles for 6 hours than pull over and ask for directions, or we would go to a gas station and buy a map.
Yep.
And then you'd have to find where you were on that map. Like, okay, we're in this line, and now we have to go like here, and then you're like, traveling in this direction till you see this road, and it could be hours, and you're like, wait, and you're like, well, the numbers are going down, so I guess we're heading the right way. You didn't have someone telling you like, make a U-turn, you went the wrong way. Like, it's fucking crazy. What a time. And that was early 2000s, late 90s. Like, it wasn't that long ago.
And there are times when I look back at that, because sometimes I'm like, you know, I don't know, I'll go somewhere, and then like, I don't know, man, like in the evening, I'll turn my ringer or like really low. So I have like do not disturb, and then I have a list of folks that can get a hold of me.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I do now. Yeah.
But even with that, I still turn the ringer down because even if there's an emergency, I don't want to be fucking startled. I want a low fucking ring.
I don't want to tell me you're dead, but in a low voice.
Goddamn right.
I don't want to be startled. In an emergency.
If you're dying, I don't want to be startled, bro.
Yeah, I can't bring you back either way. You're
right. I'm too far.
Yeah, you're too far gone. Like, just let me know where to be.
So typically, man, like in the morning, if I don't turn the ringer up, I might be on a walk with the dogs. I might be at the gym, whatever. If my wife calls me and I don't answer, why didn't you answer your phone?
Oh.
And I'm like, well, I mean, I didn't remember to turn the ringer up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I just, I wasn't not expecting any calls.
You gotta be like, I figured if it's an emergency, you'd leave a message.
Yeah, or just call me like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, then I get the message. Nah, but then you know what's gonna happen? That shit'll piss you off, because then you'll answer and it'll be like, do you want pancakes or waffles? I can remember.
Can you pick up Pepsi on your way home?
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, so I miss those times sometimes, man.
It sounds so
But yeah.
simple, so great. I wish I could go back to that, man. Dude, while we've been on here, sorry, my phone, I'm getting like the alerts. Speaking of, and fucking John Morant got arrested.
Are you serious?
Yeah, John Morant with this whole, I think he has, hold on, maybe this is a fake one. It might be fake. I think he was charged or is being, oh, no, he is. He's being investigated for that whole supposedly brandished a gun on some kid at a pickup game last summer and then punched him a bunch of times. So he's being investigated for, so.
All right, was it a white kid or a black kid?
I don't know. Doesn't say, but we're gonna have to look that up because I do think it matters.
I think it does, man.
Yeah.
Especially according to Scott Adams. I don't know if you guys have heard this shit this week, and I should probably put up the clip, but it's like several minutes long. Scott Adams is the creator of Dilbert, which is a comic strip that's been around for as long as I can remember.
I was just saying, for as long as I was a kid, Dilbert's been a thing.
So he went online. So the guy, so he has a comic strip, and I believe he has a podcast, which I was kind of curious about. Like I go, man, like you're making a ton of money on with your comic strip. Why would you go do a podcast too? But whatever. He went on and essentially said, like, according to some poll, nearly like half of blacks are not okay with whites, and I forget what the poll was, but he basically was like, that's the definition of a hate group, and he encouraged, like, if you're white, it doesn't make sense to help like Black America, and you should get as much distance from blacks as you can. And I was like, wow, man, like, and then he went on to say that when he bought his last place, when he moved into the neighborhood where he lives, like he purposely said, I don't want to live in a place. I want to live in a place where the black population is low.
Now, do you think he's saying that satirically or like?
It didn't seem that way.
Yeah, because I'm like, I guess when I hear him, I'm like, I don't know if this comes from a place of racism more than it comes from a place of he actually thinks he's
in danger. Maybe?
Not so much in danger, but going like, yo, maybe they want to be around each other, and it doesn't make it right. But I'm wondering if he goes like, yo, maybe we, the way to solve racism is like, yo, maybe we should all just stick to being with our own kind, and we won't fight amongst each other and yada. Like it's ignorant. It doesn't make it right, but I don't know that in his mind it's ignorant, but it's not malicious. If that makes sense. Like when I'm hearing him talk, I'm going. Oh, like,
I didn't, and I will say this: when I heard him speak, I didn't take it as almost like hate speech.
Yeah, like I didn't take him as a racist, like hey, you're a KKK member, but I just took it as ignorant. Like,
but I did take it as like he believes that blacks either don't want to be around whites or don't really care for whites, or from what he's hearing, what he's reading through these polls, what he is seeing through probably media, whether it be social media or television or otherwise, is leading him to believe that, hey, these folks don't really like us, so we should probably stay away.
Nah, you know what this is, bro? This is being old and having fuck you money. Like, that guy's got to have fuck you money at this point.
Oh, I would imagine
Dilbert's been a thing for so long. Like, yeah, that's fuck you money. So like he's old people just say wild shit anyway.
But I mean, he's old, but he's not like 80 old.
No, but you're also rich, so like 60 is old. Like,
so
and
60
you're rich.
Equals 80.
No, like if you're rich, you go like, how old people just say whatever the fuck they want, and you're never like grandpa's racist. You're just like, yo, grandpa's racist, but he's funny. You know what I mean? Like, you don't cancel grandpa for being racist. You sort of give him the pass. I think when you're rich, you buy yourself like a 20-year head start on racism. So it's like you. Like, we forgive you because we're just like, nah, that's a crazy old grandpa. Like, it's like when you're rich, you're eclectic, but if you're broke, you're just weird. You know how people be like, oh, he's eclectic. It's like, no, that's a term we use if you've got money. If you're broke, you're just fucking weird.
Yeah, no. Listen to the rants or the podcast or whatever the hell it was. I didn't necessarily take him as a racist, but I did also go, dude, you probably shouldn't say that
Yeah,
shit.
that's how I took it. Like, yo, shut the fuck up. But I
Yeah,
didn't
like
take it as,
just be quiet.
Just
like,
be quiet.
Just be quiet. Like, listen, we all think crazy shit.
Yeah.
All of us. I
All
don't
of
give a
us
fuck,
do.
bro. All of us think crazy shit from time to time that we probably wouldn't say in public, or something that we say either at home or to our friends and whatever. But when you're taking your word and you're putting it out in public, we've always said, man, freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequence.
No.
And
Absolutely not, bro.
so the consequence for this has been major, like newspapers and wherever Dilbert is shown they pulled it.
They pulled it. Yeah, will be fine. That guy will be fine.
He should be.
Yeah, he should be. Right. Yeah, he should be fine. Dude, I'm going to stick with old people who and shit that shouldn't be happening. Can we get a goddamn stair lift on Air Force One already? Holy fuck, bro. Did
he fall again?
He fell again, bro. How hard is it to go upstairs? What the fuck, bro? He fell again. I'm like, yo, every world leader is looking at this shit. And I'm like, is it more embarrassing to have a lift on Air Force One than it is to keep tripping and falling? Because at this point, like, it's fucking ridiculous. I'm like, bro.
You know what they got to do, bro? Put an escalator.
Yeah.
Right? A portable escalator, bro.
And make that shit look dope and make some sounds or something. Play the national anthem. Some shit, bro. But fuck, stop falling going up the stairs. Every time I see that shit, I'm like, again, bro?
Would it be more embarrassing falling down the steps, though?
I think it's...
And how does he avoid that?
I would rather you fall down and just...
You have a higher chance of dying.
Exactly. And then I'd be like, oh, fuck, Joe couldn't make it today. He's fucking in the hospital because he fell down.
Told you he was too old.
How you fall up? How you explain that shit? Like, why are you here, Joe? I fell up the stairs. How the fuck are you falling up the stairs, bro? Who falls up? I don't even know if it's called falling at that point. I climb. Involuntarily. Like, how the fuck? Bro, this motherfucker falls. And, yo, the wildest shit is like, we've all tripped over stairs or whatever in our life. Yeah, I get it. And I get that this guy is going up and down stairs in the public eye, like, more than the average human being. So, you know, maybe if he's doing it 100 times and he falls twice, it's like, your chances aren't that bad, right? They're all just televised. Right. But fuck, bro, can someone hide the tape? Like, you can't buy someone off. Like,
you gotta do either the escalator or the shit where you sit down in the chair and it takes you up the steps. Yeah, the
stair lift. Do that shit, but you gotta make it cool as fuck because that shit just looks weak. So then you gotta give him like an elevator. Like, you can't give him an elevator or make it look like a Martian is fucking zapping him up into the ship or something cool, bro. I'm like, damn. Like,
have like a fucking elevator, like lower from underneath Air Force One and just scoop them up.
Yeah, bro. Something make them look cool and powerful. Like, damn, y'all gotta play around with this shit. So why fucking Democrats lose everything, bro. They don't know how to leverage their weak points, bro. Technology. Like, just fucking take this shit with Joe. Put a cool ass stair lift on this bitch, escalator. I like that idea. Make that shit fast as fuck.
Yeah.
Even if he has to fall into a ball pit when he gets to the other side because it's too fast for him, but we don't see it. I don't care, bro. But damn, this shit is getting embarrassing, bro. You know, the rest of the world is looking at that shit going like, yo, your boy can't even go up the stairs. Like, it's so bad.
If this recently happened, this is at least the third time that I've seen
it has. It's happened in the last week, right? Like, it's just happened within the last week. It's happened.
Yeah, no, I missed this.
It's probably happened in the Ukraine. I think it was them leaving the Ukraine or whatever the fuck it was that he was there last week, man. Which I'm like, why are you in the Ukraine, bro? Like,
dude, speaking of the Ukraine, have you seen all the AI shit with the presidents?
Oh my god, man, I can't get enough.
Is it Call of Duty?
Yeah, they do the Call of Duty. They do like George Bush and Barack and Trump playing Call of Duty. And Biden.
Yeah, it was like the one I saw was like it was Barack, Trump, and Biden.
Yeah, it's so good.
Wait a minute, you know what?
So good.
I gotta pull it up for the people, man.
It's so you gotta listen to it. Go down that rabbit hole on YouTube, folks, or on the internet, and listen to the presidents playing Call of Duty because they sound like a bunch of teenagers playing Call of Duty, like the whole cursing and wilding out about shit. It's so good. I love it. Can't get enough.
I gotta see if I can find
this is also problematic for the whole deep fake shit, but it's so good. It's so good.
All right, let me see. Hold on.
I remember popping this in the PS3, putting on some early Drake, and just blasting fools.
Barack, this game was the best part of your presidency.
I'm actually 10th prestige on my old gamer tag. XX, I spread democracy XX.
George, be sure to not break the spawn trap by rushing in.
I guess old habits die hard, huh?
It's so good. Those are not the actual presidents,
Guys,
folks.
I got the AC-130 already.
Of course you did.
Now, this is a good game. I remember popping this in the PS3, putting on some early Drake.
It's so good, man. It's so like, it sounds like them. It's the verbiage that they would use in Call of Duty. It's like
No, that's so dope.
it's so good.
But that voice AI, man, so like that shit is mad funny. But have you seen or have you gone on to anything like recently? I was on Spectrum. I was calling Spectrum, which is a cable company here in the area, and they were asking me, "Do you want to set up like voice security so that you don't have to give like a password or anything like that?"
Oh, it'll recognize your voice.
I declined it specifically because I knew that there was this AI voice shit. And so I read a story recently, man, where it was like somebody's bank got broken into, like bank account got broken into.
Oh, because someone mimicked their voice.
Because somebody mimicked their voice on AI. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, like anything else, man. When new technology, which is great, I always welcome new technology, but people are going to use it.
Yeah,
you
people are
know,
gonna have
to-
nefarious intentions with no matter what you do. Like
Yeah.
we can't have nice things, bro. So like someone's.
But you
gonna
know what,
figure
man?
out-
I heard Gary Vee said something that I heard this week. I don't know if it was just came out this week or not. But he was like, AI is like the tractor. And he's like, when people were fucking farming and everybody's kind of working and the tractor comes along and people are like, oh shit, now I'm going to be out of a job because this tractor's doing everything for me. And he's like, we just learn to do other shit. So, you know, so it's almost like don't be afraid of technology because, yeah, and there will be people that lose their job. But a lot of times as humans, we need to be forced into other shit because we get too comfortable.
Yeah, so it makes us, right? Like we need that sort of outside pressure of something that human beings, I think, on a genetic level, get complacent, and so
absolutely.
like whether it's on like your everyday
comfortable,
job
bro.
or relationships or whatever, you get comfortable, you get complacent, and so you need that like that thing that's gonna sort of motivate you, inspire you, or whatever to do the next whatever the next thing is, and whatever that
dude.
is. Like,
Dude,
yeah.
I know people who have had like amazing potential, at least in my view, that have just stuck in the same job for a long time because they just go, yo, I'm just comfortable. Like this is, you know, like I make enough money and I know what I'm doing and like I don't want to pursue other shit. This is enough.
Well, comfort is like the worst drug known to man, right? Like people will say it's like money or like fame or, you know, maybe actual drugs or whatever. But comfort, man, if you think about it, being comfortable in whatever situation is literally a killer of dreams. It's a killer of progress. It's a killer of aspirations. It's a killer of like being comfortable as human beings will literally stop you from doing anything or aspiring to anything or putting in effort in anything, or you know, like what again, like whether it's relationships, whether it's like your job, whether it's you know, like it could be the relationship you have with your kids or with your family members, with like anything. Like comfort will literally kill that, and I think most of us are guilty of living in this comfort and feeding that addiction off of, I know what this is going to look like, I know how the sun rises and sets and whatever, and I'm good with that, I'm just going to ride that out. Like yeah, it's just, I think we are creatures of habit, and when things sort of, but we're at our best when we were put in uncomfortable situations, man.
Yeah.
I tell shit to my kids, man, the quicker you get comfortable being uncomfortable, man, the easier life gets.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those things where I feel like has served me well, where like I kind of thrive in the chaos of things, and so like I personally like being uncomfortable, because if I do get complacent, like I suck. The worst version of me is the version that's complacent, that knows what he's doing, like whether it's at work or podcasting or whatever. But I'm like, but because I feel uncomfortable in this scenario, like I haven't mastered like podcasting in my mind, I haven't mastered like my job, I haven't mastered like these things. I go like the effort you get from me is different, and sort of like the ego is different, the you know, like how I act in it is different because I'm not comfortable, and so like I think think that's the version that you should aspire to be. Is like you should aspire to be the most uncomfortable version of yourself, and then you get comfortable in that uncomfortableness.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, how we doing on time?
Yo, we're an hour 4 in, man. Dude, yo, we thought we didn't have anything, and we haven't even touched.
I told you, man.
Shit, man. It's great, dude. I want to touch on before we get out of here, though. It's getting later. All-Star game, because I know it's been a couple weeks. We didn't get a chance to do the pod.
Yeah.
We had Brent Barry 2.0, like a white boy who won the dunk contest, which is kind of wild. Not only a white boy, a little white boy. Like Brent Barry was big.
He's like 6'2".
That's what he says, bro. But yeah, he's 6'2". He looks
6'2"
small.
with heels on.
And he had some spectacular dunk. And I know this kid's gone viral, and that's like the reason he was there.
Mac
McClung, man.
Right?
If you didn't see, he won the dunk contest. He's gone viral. He's got a great YouTube. He's in the G League. They changed the rules this year that G League players can enter.
So he was in the G League?
Yeah, that's how he was able to get in. Yeah.
Okay.
So the G League, they changed some rules where like G League players could enter the dunk contest. And this also goes to speak to like the NBA can't get players to sign up for the dunk contest anymore, which I don't get. Like, I mean, I do and I don't. Like, I get that there isn't an upside to this. Like, if you're a player, like you feel like this can only get embarrassed and you can't. But like, man, I grew up on the Kobe's and the Vince Carters and the Dominique Wilkins and the MJs, and like even a couple years back, you had Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine give us like one of the best dunk contests in probably 2 decades, and like
you
can't get
matter of
anybody.
fact, before this one started, which I thought was really cool, they were kind of going through the history of the dunk contest, and and they showed Jordan and Dominique, and I believe they showed like Spud Webb, and then they showed Vince Carter, and as they were going through the timeline, in my head I'm going, you better show Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine. You have to. And they do.
And they did. Oh, good.
And they do.
That was the last great dunk contest, really.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I remember watching that with my sons at the time, and I go, and I told them, I go, yo, you guys are witnessing like history. Like this one is gonna be remembered.
To me, that was this generation's version of like I remember the whole
Dominique Jordan,
but also I remember Kobe. The difference was that Kobe didn't have an opponent.
I don't remember Kobe, man.
And I remember Vince Carter, but Vince Carter didn't have a great opponent. Yeah. Vince Carter like put on a show by himself.
Oh yeah.
As far as opponents go, it was Dominique and Jordan was the last one that I could remember that was like great.
Yeah.
But I remember Vince Carter. Like I remember when Vince Carter did the 360 and then windmill. Like we were like, holy shit, like that is nuts. And then the whole arm through the rim thing, like that was unheard of. Kobe did the whole under the leg 360, and you're just like, wow. Like, but those were like individual performances.
Was that Kobe's rookie year?
Yeah, rookie or second year was like it was definitely like 97-ish, because I think Brent Barry won the 96 one. So I think Kobe won the 97 or 98.
He did the Jordan, right? The Brent Barry.
He did the free throw line shit. And Brent Barry's, if you go back and look at the dunks, they're not that impressive. Yeah. But it was almost the beginning of the whole dunk contest sort of falling off, because after that you got Kobe wins one, Vince Carter wins one, and then they all sort of go like meh. Like after that you get did Tracy McGrady answer one? I can't remember. But then I feel like for 2 decades you didn't get a good one until the Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon, and that was one for the ages, man. That was
absolutely.
Like, and good for you for recognizing that at the time. 'Cause I think at the time I took it for granted. I'm like, man, this shit's cool.
Oh no, I didn't, man. I didn't think it was that cool. That, and I was like, and some of the that one dunk that Aaron Gordon does over the mascot, where he's basically sitting
and he puts the ball
in the
under
air and he's under his legs, and I was like, that's the best dunk I've ever seen.
And I think that dunk I didn't appreciate it until I saw it in slow motion, and I went, what the fuck? Like when I saw it in slow motion, he jumps and he said he's sitting and he does the thing, and I'm like, even Mac McClung did some dunks this week where I go, see him in fast motion, you're like, oh, that looked cool. But when you see him in slow motion, you're like, oh wow.
That's even better.
That's even better. Yeah. Like, you don't realize sort of the things that he puts into, like he does the whole 540 dunk thing where you're like,
did you see that they went to the skateboarders?
Yeah, the Tony Hawk was like, I can verify it's definitely a 5. And I'm like, that is the king of the 900, man. That's like, what do you need? Like, it's so good, man. And listen, good. Mac McClung, you talk about a carbon footprint. His life in that week changed significantly. That man signed a deal with Puma. He signed like a 2-day contract with the Sixers. He got like he won
I
the
think it was
slam
a
dunk
week contract,
contest,
right?
or
What's
yeah,
that,
something
a
like
week?
that. He got all these things. It's crazy to see how your life can change. And I know he was a viral sensation on YouTube and all stuff, but he goes from making like, you know, maybe $100K a year to, you know, great endorsements, deals, all this stuff, worldwide recognition, winning the slam dunk contest, all that stuff. So I'm like, man, your life can change in the blink of an eye like that to the positive.
And he was in the Rising Stars game.
Yeah, and he had a great game.
He had a good game.
Too. Yeah.
So I don't know if I know obviously this is past the All-Star break for the NBA. I have not seen him in a game yet for Philly. I imagine that I'm probably not going to. But kudos to that guy and definitely looking forward to seeing him try to defend that title next year.
Yeah, I hope he does well, man, in the NBA. I think it'll be entertaining to watch. The NBA has so many, I think, good up-and-coming guys now, but they do have a problem, man, with this NBA All-Star game. It's so unwatchable, I feel like.
I watched it, man, and I was enjoying it, but I will say, man, towards the end, I was like, all right, man, let's go.
It's
because
so
I didn't.
bad.
What is the there's like the scoring is kind of
It's so
funky at
fucking
the
weird,
end.
and there's like a score you need to get to. It's not time based anymore. There's like a score that if you get to, you win, and
Gotcha.
like nobody plays defense, so they're scoring almost 200 in this shit. It's like. And it doesn't matter, so there's no sense of urgency. Nobody's locking dudes down. If a guy plays defense, people are pissed because they're like, "Oh, he only played D because I was me with the ball," and blah blah blah. Like it's just
Someone did bitch about that.
yeah,
right?
yeah. Somebody bitched because LeBron blocked somebody who went up for a dunk, and it
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, he didn't give a fuck when all this other time." But then when I go to do it, and I can get it, I'm like the competitive juices take over in that moment for that specific situation. But I'm like, the game also doesn't matter. So I tried, I couldn't get into it.
So
It
there's
was
nothing-
like on in the background.
So it doesn't
It's
really
like,
matter at all, right?
at all. There's nothing to be gained
Okay.
from it other than the whole charity money thing and all that. But I'm like, you're talking, if you're an all-star, most of these guys can donate that money to the charity if they want to, period.
Yep.
They can pull that money together. Like, these all-stars in the NBA are generally coming from playoff teams. They're generally your highest paid players in the league and all that. And so I was thinking, like, how do you solve this if you're the NBA? Like, you have this game. You want to sort of showcase your stars, whether it's on an international level or whether you want to prime the viewership for playoff time or whatever it is. Like, how do you solve this where you have an exhibition game that doesn't matter? It doesn't count. It doesn't think. And so I kept thinking, like, I love what Major League Baseball did with their All-Star game a while back, where it was like, hey, the winner of the All-Star game gets home field advantage in the World Series.
Yes.
And so what you got was, I know people were pissed and they didn't like it because they're like, hey, there's teams who could play in this or players who could play in this who aren't affected by this later on. I go, yeah, but usually if you're an all-star, you're on a playoffs caliber team, and so maybe you do the home field advantage does matter. I don't think you should do that in the NBA, but what I was thinking was there's a few things. First off, it was, okay, what if you just went back to East versus West and then you did something like winning conference gets extra timeouts during the NBA finals, or an extra challenge, or like per game. You get one more, two more timeouts per
do the
game.
home field. But,
Yeah, you get an extra
them other
challenge
perks.
per game. Did you get more draft picks? Hey, Western Conference gets one more draft pick this year versus Eastern Conference. Does the
I don't think draft picks, just because draft picks are more for the business side.
they're for the shitty team, they're for the business side. But you go, now the shitty teams get the lottery picks, so you're not allowed to be in the lottery picks, but do you get one more draft pick at the end of every round if you're a good team, and so you get to pick two players maybe at the end. Maybe you get 32 and 33, or I don't know what the answer to that, but then it's like, or do you go in the NBA finals, the winning conference, a team from the winning conference gets one extra challenge, I don't know how the NBA thing, or review, or do you get two extra timeouts or one per half? So then, because you know how strategic timeouts become, and you go, does that one mean the difference between you winning and losing a game? Because you go, now I can stop the clock more times. Or,
that's true.
Like make it matter.
But you could
because
make it matter
NBA
at some
teams-
point.
Yeah.
Or at some level.
At some level, because NBA, usually the guys on an NBA All-Star team are going to be playoff teams. Like, you don't get very many guys who aren't going to be playing in May, June, deep. So, like,
Yeah, true.
make it to where these guys want to gain some sort of advantage for their teams. I'm like, I just don't know how you do that without giving these guys something to play for that matters in the playoffs. Like, because I go, you could do money, but I feel like money then turns the fans away because it's like, oh, these guys are going to get another $1 million for winning this game or whatever. Like, I go, how do you get these guys to actually care and then get the fans to care? Because if I'm a Laker fan and I'm rooting for the West because I'm like, fuck it, the Lakers get into the championship, I want that. If I'm a Milwaukee fan, so I'm like, as important as the challenges have become or the timeouts or whatever it is, I'm like, there's got to be some type of incentive that you can give that makes it, like maybe it's that they get like a technical foul that they can use throughout the playoffs at any point in time. Maybe it only works in the NBA Finals play. Like one time you get to shoot 2 free throws. And so like anything, like I don't know like what you do, but it's like throw something out there.
You get technical foul that would be wiped off.
Exactly. Like even now, like we want to use our one technical wipe that
like
we have.
If you're like Golden State, right, with
Draymond.
Yeah. Like,
how big would that be? Like,
it'd be huge.
Dude, there's ways that you could do it, that you could give us a sense of urgency that seems little, but we know that come playoff times, like people will care. Like, dude, I'm thinking of like what the MLB has done now with the shot clock, which is phenomenal, or with the pitching clock.
Yep.
Do you go winning, conference, American League, National League for the 9th inning of every playoff game, the pitcher gets 20 seconds instead of 15 or 25 or whatever, like, I'm like, there's ways you can do it now to where you gain a competitive advantage. And now you give teams something to play for because again, most of the guys on an all-star team are going to be on playoff teams.
Yeah. That's true in some respect. I did see, I did enjoy the draft. So like you had the 2 players, right? You had LeBron and Giannis picking their teams, and what I wonder is how did the guys that got picked last feel?
I like that they did it though, where they picked the bench first. So
yes,
yeah.
But when they got to the starters,
yeah,
I was like, there's no bad choices.
No, man. That
right?
Jokic got picked last on one of them, right?
Or like second to last.
Second, yeah. You're right. Yeah. He almost like picked himself.
And it was, it was funny, man. And I was going like, man, I wonder, even at that level, are there guys that are like almost second guessing themselves, or are you feeling like that kid on the, like when you playing street ball that gets picked last?
Yeah. There's
right?
There's an ego hit. But that's why I feel like just go back to East versus West and make it matter because the other part of me thought, oh well, you could just make it to the players on the winning team. Their team gets these perks, but you could have players on 2 opposite teams. Like you could have a guy from the Lakers playing on either side.
Yep.
So like, to me, just go back to East versus West. Like American League versus National League. Like the just go back to that. And then make it mean something, man. Make it, again, whether it's a draft pick or whether it's I'm like, there has to be something. I think it has to be an immediate payoff. So I think it still has to have something to do with the playoffs in that season. Like,
yeah.
I feel like that's how you solve that.
We'll see what they do.
Because
with that
like,
shit,
I don't know how you solve the NFL's one. The only thing I could think of is that you go winning conference gets an extra time out in the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know, or one more challenge in the Super Bowl. Instead of 2, you get 3.
Because remember, there is no sort of all-star break for the NFL. They have the Pro Bowl, which is after the Super Bowl.
But no, it's in between. So do you go, hey, the conference?
Dude, they're playing flag football now.
Yeah,
and that's doing like skills challenge and shit like that.
No, so you can't. No. And I think for the NFL, you don't do it because of the violent nature of the game. Like, you don't want these guys playing for something because I'm like, it's not worth it. Like to me, just leave the games alone. Leave it as a flag football game. Don't let to me, it's just a showcase. It's fun, whatever. I think the way you fix the NFL one and you get people to care is let fans enter to be able to play in it. And then you get the guys playing flag football, and then you let fans join in the play. Dude, and then you'd be like fans from like, dude, or do you do like season ticket holders from like the teams that are in it, or so something that'd be cool, it'd be fun. But to me, the NBA one, I go, you can add a sense of urgency to that.
My groin.
Yeah,
yeah, but I'm not playing in that shit, bro.
Give him the option. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I feel like the NBA has to do something to Matt, or just cancel that shit. It was such a waste of time, or just leave it as the young star showcase and then leave it at that.
Dude, like I said, I enjoyed it, man. I don't really care that it doesn't matter. However, I do think that if it does matter at some level, it would bring sort of higher stakes, right? And I would sort of watch it with a different mindset.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind it, man. I liked the skills challenge. I liked the dunk contest. The celebrity game. Like, I like that whole weekend is cool. I don't know how that went off in Utah, because I had been to Salt Lake City, and it's not a place that I'm like wanting to go back to. So I don't know how that whole thing played out.
It's starting to get popular.
And
it's like Post Malone lives there, and
it's
shit
on
now.
Sunday.
Yeah, it's
Which, when I was there,
everything's closed, right?
everything was, it was like, not only everything was closed, there was no cars in the street. There was like, it was very eerie when I was there. Maybe it's different.
Sunday,
Yes.
right? Maybe they changed.
Maybe
it for
it's
All-Star
changed now.
Weekend.
Yeah, who knows?
I do know that it's become like the place now for like people on the West Coast, like
Really?
celebrities. Like, Post Malone lives there, which is why he did the
Okay.
whole performance. But like, it's become like
He's so
this place
talented,
where
bro.
people. Oh my god, yeah, he's so good, man. That kid is so good, and it's become like this sort of like escape, if you will, for like people in the, like out of LA and all that. Like
can see
Salt
that.
Lake City has become that. And then, so I wonder if it does get too popular, like on Austin did or whatever, like where Salt Lake or Park or
Park Slope?
Park Slope or Park City, whatever.
Park City.
A lot of people started going to Utah, because I even know people from here now who are like vacationing in Utah, summer and winter, and I'm like, man, that's weird. Like I get the
Scenery's nice.
Yeah, and I've seen pictures. I'm like, fuck, that does look beautiful. Where
Yeah.
they go to like Zion and they do these hikes and they do stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. I could get into that. But the winter vacations I'll never understand, because there's something about vacation and freezing my ass to death that doesn't go hand in hand. But like,
I like it, bro.
I don't like the idea that I have to wear 17 layers if I'm supposed to be relaxing. There's nothing not relaxing. Like,
Man,
if I'm supposed to be checked out of my day-to-day life.
Relax in the cabin. But if you go out skiing and shit like that, you got to bundle up.
I got to
bro.
try it once, I guess. There's nothing about that tells me. I feel like just thinking about it makes my cortisol levels go up.
With that mindset, you just stay here.
Yeah, not that, but I go. I could. It doesn't have to be tropical for me, right? But it's just the idea, the idea of putting on so many layers and making sure I pack that many layers and all that stuff. It just sounds stressful.
Yeah,
Like, do I have enough clothes? Do I have enough things that every time I leave the house, I got to make sure I have all this. When I go somewhere for dinner or whatever, I got to take it all off and put my coat in a coat check and da-da-da-da. Like, fuck that. Like, I feel like that shit is sexy to people who've never grown up somewhere where it's cold. Like, I've lived somewhere where it's cold. I've gone to stores where you got to leave your coat in a fucking cubby when you walk in or whatever if you want to, and your bags and all that shit, and left. I'm like, that shit is not romantic, bro.
Dude, for me, man, I have a really like a thin jacket, but it's like the technology behind it. I think it's a Columbia jacket. Technology behind it is sick. So you can be in like fucking freezing weather and you have like this thin jacket on and you're good to go. Take that fucking hat and something that your feet don't get cold.
You're good.
Or you're good, bro.
I know that shit's great, because all I see now of Chinese people who are coming to visit are wearing First Down in Colombia, and I know it gets cold there, and they're all wearing those thin ass. I'm like, that shit has to work.
Oh, it's fucking
Yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah. I see a bunch of like Chinese tourists and stuff now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh fuck, that shit has to work.
All right, bro. On that, tell them where they can find us.
Listen, if you're not already following us at the Carbon Food Podcast on the IG, the Carbon Food Podcast on YouTube, make sure you follow us on there, man. YouTube is creeping up. I love it. Go on there, comment, like, talk shit in the posts in there, and then you can actually see us being degenerates in person. The Carbon Football Podcast on TikTok, at Carbon FP on Twitter, and then everywhere where you listen to your favorite music or podcast, man. Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podchaser, all of it, man. We're Radio FM. If it's out there that plays audio, we're on there. Audible, the big one now.
That's right.
Yeah, and Audible, and I gotta figure out, Audible doesn't count towards our downloads and streams. I gotta figure out where that's going, but it doesn't count. But either way, go on there. I don't care.
We don't give a shit.
We just want you guys to listen and comment and interact and all that, and leave a review where you can, especially Apple Podcasts and YouTube, man. We'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna leave you with this from my guy Mark Manson. There's a book right here.
Let's go.
He's got a few books out. By the way, man, I've been slacking on my book. I did not do a book for February, so I'm gonna catch back up, start another book this month.
We got to talk about that. Yeah. I'm actually okay. I was behind and I caught up.
I am not caught up, so
Okay.
so I'm starting another book this month. But he had a quote that I thought was pretty cool, and it said, the only thing all of your problems have in common is you. And so that was something that kind of hit me hard, man, where you go like, you start thinking about your life and you think about the kind of problems you have and the issues that you have and the anxieties that you have. And a lot of it is, like I said, you're the common denominator. So change you, change your life.
Yeah, it's the only thing you can't control, right? How
That's right.
you react to things, how you accept things, how you go about things. So,
Yep.
fuck, I love that. Mark Manson, damn it. He's just dropping knowledge.
That's it.
All right, man.
And on that, we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.